Hello friends, good morning. Welcome to Mom, the Hindu newspaper analysis presented by Diksha Space. Today in this session we are going to discuss December 16, 2020, the Hindu paper. Before starting today's analysis, let us see the significance of December 16th. December 16th, 1971 holds significance. It was on this day the three wings of defense forces who fought valiantly against Pakistan in liberating Bangladesh. It led, or on this day, it was the moment where 93,000 Pakistani military personnel submitted themselves humiliating defeat in the war. It was on this day that General Amir Abdullah Khan Niazi, chief of Pakistani forces, surrendered to the allied force comprising Indian Army and Mukti Bahini. This day holds a significance in the history of Bangladesh existence and is commemorated as Vijay Day or Bijoy Day. Today's first article, Netaji Museum planned in Kolkata for 125th anniversary. This article holds significance with respect to GS paper 1, that is Indian art and culture, where the Union Ministry is planning to come up with a museum of about life of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and photos which will be displayed. In 2022, we are going to celebrate 125th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and the government is planning to start the celebrations from January 23rd, 2021, that is 1 year ahead of 125th birth anniversary. This program will be taken care under Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat program. This program, Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat program, was announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2015, October 31st. That was on the occasion of 140th birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Then, subsequently, in 2016 and 17 budget, there were provisions made with respect to this program. The objective of this program is to celebrate the unity and diversity of our nation and to maintain and strengthen the fabric, promote the spirit of national integration, showcase the rich heritage and culture, establish long-term engagements, and to create an environment which promotes learning between the states. Ultimately, here it is to get an innovative measures to harness the knowledge of the culture, traditions and practices of different states, union territories, which will help us in enhancing and understanding bonding between the states, thereby strengthening unity and integrity of India. We will have a separate exclusive video with respect to the contribution of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose in Indian national movement. Next article, government must unveil stimulus to spur demand, MP's panel. In this article, we are going to discuss in the context of Parliamentary Standing Committee, which has come up with a slew of recommendations for government in order to improve the demand in the economy. However, it is being said that the government has been working or given fiscal stimulus is for the supply side. And here in this article, the Parliamentary Standing Committee has come up with slew of recommendations for the spur in the demand of the economy. As we all know, GST rates on the automobile sector has to be rationalized, which is at present 28% with an additional compensation cess ranging from 10 to 18% is what is being recommended here. As we all know that the vehicles are being changed over from BS4 to BS6, and this has led to an increase of cost of at least 10 to 15% higher in the upgraded technology. If the GST can be reduced to 18%, then this compensation will work out and there will be demand in the economy, which will be helpful for the recovery post COVID-19 situation. The increased sale due to reduction in GST will help up to cover the losses with respect to GST revenue. If you in the other end, if you see the improvisation or rationalization with respect to second-hand cars is also spoken about. If you all know, today it is being levied around 12% to 18%, and if it could be reduced to 4%, which will help to organize the segment more in a proper way. In another way, internal combustion engine vehicles are also need rationalization of GST. Presently, based on size, CC, price bracket, seating capacity, etc. is being fixed. Rather than having a fixed slab on all categories without distinction of standard, popularity, luxury, etc., the raise for demand for new vehicles can be done if this can be reduced. So internal combustion vehicles, second-hand vehicles and other vehicles which have been shifted are being discussed in this article. So here the committee is suggested that the government to request the Supreme Court to allow sale of BS4 vehicles that could help to sell the vehicles which could not be sold during pandemic and lockdown. Department of Heavy Industries must also impress the Supreme Court that the scrappage policy for NCR region, which is applicable for diesel vehicles older than 10 years and petrol vehicles older than 15 years, should be given some concession. So these are the recommendations given by Parliamentary Standing Committee in order to spur demand in the economy, in order to come out of the inflation spiral which is India is going to experience. So in this article, these recommendations need to be noted down, which are really important for upcoming mains. Next article, US imposes CAATSA sanctions on Turkey over S-400 purchase. In this article, first we need to understand what is CAATSA and what is S-400 missile. CAATSA is with respect to countering America's adversaries through Sanctions Act, which was passed in 2017 by US Congress. So here the major intention of US Congress was to avoid Donald Trump lifting over sanctions of Russia. As you all know, there were concerns with respect to 2016 US general elections or US presidential elections of influence of Russia. In this article, CAATSA is applicable for all the countries who have transactions with Iran, Russia or North Korea. And another section 231 is being spoken here, which provides a provision of secondary sanctions on persons engaging in significant transactions with Russia, defense and intelligence. In this article, it is being said that US has imposed CAATSA sanctions on Turkey. It is with respect to purchase of S-400 missiles, even though US has elaborately said not to go forward with respect to this deal. US main defense procurement agency, Presidency of Defense Industries, knowingly has engaged in significant transaction with Rosoboro Next Export ROE, that is Russia's main arms export entity, which is being spoken here. These CAATSA sanctions will comprise a ban on granting specific US export license and authorization for any goods or technology. It will also raise ban on loans or credits by US financial institutions, which will be totaling more than $10 million for the next 12-month period. This will also create a ban on US export-import banks as assistance for exports and mandated US opposition to loans by international financial organizations on the countries who are imposed under CAATSA. Here we need to understand under section 231 there is additional sanction like full blocking sanctions and visa restrictions on SSB President Ismail Demir. Previously, over the concerns of Turkey's transaction with Russia over S-400 missile, US has already taken out the membership of Turkey from Global F-35 Joint Strike Fighter Partnership. Under this, the Turkey's pilots will not be trained for F-35 because there are concerns those pilots or Russia's influence in Turkey's defense system will help the leakage of the technology or design of the US F-35. So this is the understanding which needs to be developed with respect to this article. Next article, British Prime Minister to be chief guest at Republic Day celebration. This article we are discussing in the context of British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab, who had spoken with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, has confirmed that British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will be the chief guest of India's Republic Day celebration. In this occasion, there were discussions on various levels, which were including enhanced trade partnership that would be a stepping stone for free trade agreement between the two sides. However, there will be a vast array of activities in the domains or technologies related to information, lifestyle, and the future FTA with India was expected to be part of post-Brexit British economic plans. Raab, who is British Foreign Secretary, is expecting that India and Britain will be able to develop a new generation of partnership in Indo-Pacific region, which is of highest priority in foreign policy. HMS Queen Elizabeth Carrier Strike Group, which will be visiting Indo-Pacific region in 2021, is also confirmed during this talk. Bilateral convergence in Afghanistan Indo-Pacific region has been seen in these talks, and British Foreign Secretary has welcomed the membership of United Nations Security Council non-permanent membership of India from January 2021. It is being also said that this relationship between India and Britain is going to take up new heights with respect to stronger defense and security partnership and fight against terrorism, maritime security, including piracy in Western Indian Ocean. There are going to be a new and emerging challenges like space and cyber security, where India and Britain have promised to work together. This is about the understanding between India and Britain relationships. The understanding of this article will help us with respect to GS paper 2 international relations. Any questions with respect to Britain and India's friendship or bilateral relations. Next article, Boko Haram claims kidnapping. If you all remember, last week there were 300 students who were kidnapped from all boys government science secondary school in Katsina state of Nigeria, and Boko Haram has claimed that they have kidnapped these students. So in detail we will be looking after what is this Boko Haram and what is their ideology on which they are working and what is the present status. However, very briefly if we can discuss here, Nigeria's militant Islamic group which is called as Boko Haram has caused havoc in Africa's most populous country through bombings, assassinations and abduction. It mainly works on the promotion of version of Islam which makes it haram or forbidden for Muslims to take part in any political or social activity associated with Western society. This includes elections, wearing shirts or trousers or receiving secular education. Boko Haram regards Nigerian state as run by non-believers regardless of whether the president is Muslim or not. It has extended military campaign by targeting neighboring states over there. Here we need to understand that Boko Haram recruits or it is mainly present in Borno, Maduguri and Chibok. With respect to complete details, we will look after another article or separate video about a complete details providing Boko Haram and its way of functioning. Next article, Punjab, Haryana need to look beyond MSP. In this article, we are going to discuss with respect to agricultural crisis which is being going on with respect to farm bills about between government and farmers. So here we are going to look after on the ground level how the activities with respect to agriculture are being taken up in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP, and the MSP which is being given as a protection for the farmers by the government is actually deterring the farmers in order to diversify their crops, and with respect to ecologically and environmental impact which is being taken down due to the cultivation of wheat and paddy in general, it is being discussed here. So let us see the brief analysis on the ground realities of Punjab, Haryana and Western UP farmers. So let us see or understand that the Punjab and Haryana and Western UP are the early adopters of green revolution, and they were the major beneficiaries of various policies with respect to spread of modern agricultural technology in the country, because of which the country was able to overcome the shortage of staple food in just 15 years, and India became self-sufficient with respect to staple crops. If you see here, the rice and wheat which is majorly grown in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP, who were the early adopters of green revolution, there the procurement of rice and wheat was at MSP, which completely insulated farmers against any prices risk in the market. If you all look at this, created a stable flow of income for the farmers from these two crops. The technological advancement which was provided by public sector agricultural research and resources and scientific manpowers provided for these crops were an added benefit for the farmers in order to keep growing in rice and wheat. Wheat, which is a rabi crop, paddy, which is a kharif crop, becomes best in terms of productivity, income price and yield risk and ease of cultivation were among a better option compared to other cereals, pulses and oilseeds. In this context, the farmers in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP started growing rice and wheat, and the net cropped area rose from 48% in Punjab in 1970s to 84%, and in Haryana from 29% in 1970s to 60% in present years. If you all see, this increase in cropped area has led to growth of rice and wheat by the farmers of Punjab, Haryana region. In 1980s, if you see, there was a second generation problem of green revolution. If you all remember, green revolution was filled up with excessive use of fertilizers and water. This led to a thought among the experts that diversification of crops in this region has to be suggested and taken care and moved forward. This necessitated to reduce the adverse effect on natural resources, ecology, environment and fiscal resources also. If you see, over a period of time, there was a stagnation with respect to income compared to rice and wheat cultivation. That we will discuss how it is going or how it got stagnated. So what are the challenges or what are the points which attracts farmers with respect to rice and wheat crops, and why it needs to be changed and how it can be changed is the question what is in front of us. Understanding the problems with respect to cultivation of wheat and rice crops in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP region. If you all see, high productivity, assured MSP, which is actually being given as open market price, free power, fertilizer subsidy are actually the contributors with respect to higher income per unit area for wheat and paddy cultivation. Land labor ratio is also favorable in Punjab when compared to other states. If you look at an average farmer in Punjab owns at least 2.14 hectares of net sown area, and in Haryana around 1.42 hectares. The national average is around 1.17 hectares. As per national account statistics, if you see the income of a farmer per acre is around 5.31 lakhs in Punjab, 3.44 lakhs in Haryana, and all India level average is 1.4%, 1.4 lakhs as per 2017-18 statistics. The question asked here is, if per farmer agriculture income in Haryana and Punjab are 2 to 3 times higher than the national average, then why is there a lot of talk with respect to farmers' distress in these states? If you look at, there is a loss in growth momentum what we are seeing. In Haryana, it is 1% fall, and in Punjab, it is 0.6% fall after 2011 and 12. This is because people are migrating from the food habits, or migrating food habits are point of contention here. The household expenditure are been increasing, but the income has become stagnated. The productivity of rice and wheat, which has reached at a stable point of view, the pressure is on to increase the MSP to increase the income. Because apart from that, there is no other point wherein the income for the farmers can be increased. Demand and supply do not favor in an increase in MSP in the real terms. If you look at, the consumer preference is also shifting towards other foods. Like many of the urban consumers are actually spending on beverages and spices rather than cereals. Supply side rice production is rising at the rate of 14% per year in Madhya Pradesh, 10% in Jharkhand, and 7% in Bihar. This shows that these states will actually be in the advantageous side in respect to production, because those states will also be generating or cultivating these crops. Rice and wheat procurement in the country has more than doubled in compared to 2006 and 7. Buffer stocks have swelled at all-time high. If you see, in order to enable Punjab and Haryana farmers to move towards high-paying horticultural crops requires institutional arrangements on price assurances such as contract farming. Overall, we see that green revolution problems are always discussed. The biggest casualty of paddy cultivation and policy of free power for pumping underground water for irrigation is that depletion of groundwater resources. If you look at, water table has shown a decline in 84% wells in Punjab and 75% in Haryana. If the continuity of this cultivation keeps going, there are concerns that over a period of time there will be no underground water at all. In burning of paddy stubble and straw has become another serious environmental and health hazard in the whole region. So all this taken into consideration, there is another point wherein human resource is also actually getting wasted. As you all know, that the farmers who are working in this region are mostly migrants, and the youth are not ready to work on the field or manual work. So they are looking out for various opportunities with respect to private or government jobs. If you look at, government jobs are limited, and private, there has to be a growth or development or investment with respect to private industry and service sector. So here the point is to understand that the per capita income, which was number 1 in 1970s and 1980s of these regions, that is Punjab and Haryana, now it has fallen down to 13 among the major states of the country. This shows state needs large scale private investment in modern industry, services and commerce besides agriculture. So this is not about legalizing MSP, but to shift the MSP crops to higher value crops and the promotion of non-farm activities in this region. In this context, farmer groups and farmer produce organizations can play a significant role in marketing of their produce. If you look at, Punjab and Haryana needs to promote economic activities with strong links with agricultural tailored to state specificities. So embrace an innovative development strategy in agriculture and non-agriculture to secure and improve the future of farming and rural youth is the point which needs to be understood. So it is not only about MSPs, but it is also about different contexts or possibilities, regions where farmers are actually in distress, and government need to take care of all these aspects in order to reduce the burden over farmers. Next article is Law and Order. Several inadequacies in the judicial delivery system lie hidden as disproportionate attention is given to the Supreme Court. So before starting with the analysis of this article, this analysis of this article will help us with respect to GS paper 2, that is judiciary sections. So here the article speaks about various issues where that are lying hidden with respect to our judicial system. So before start of this analysis of this article, if you have seen the TV series The Crown, where Queen Elizabeth II seeks to understand from Prime Minister why the public has a negative perception about royalty. She points that the royalty is composed of normal people leading normal lives and doing normal jobs. Then the Prime Minister says people don't expect the royalty to be normal, but to be idle. But Queen says nobody is idle in this world. Here we need to understand Supreme Court also finds the same predicament. Citizens of this country expect the institution to be idle and constitutionally idle. The challenge of the Supreme Court is to come in terms of this reality. Supreme Court alone matters in the justice delivery system as a result of unrelenting focus on the anguished knocks at the doors of the highest court. If you all remember, there are always few of the news or with respect to concerns about the salaries of the judges and better court infrastructure. But with respect to perceptions or hidden agendas, if you see, India has one of the most comprehensive legal aid program in the world. Legal Service Authority Act 1987, which speaks about providing free legal services to women, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, are actually a dead letter. If you remember, this is not the case with respect to other countries. In UK, there is a fund which is specially allocated to Independent Solicitor's Office to provide such services. That is not the case in India, where the common man who reaches or the justice is always costly in India for a common man. Because this Legal Service Authority Act 1987 cannot be implemented in its true faith in India. In UK, if the same funds which are being given to Independent Solicitor's Office are taken off, then definitely even the services will not be provided by the solicitor's office, and yes, there will be lapse of rule of law, which is the same condition what we are finding in India. If you look at the judge population ratio, in India it is around 19, but in US it is around 100 per million population, and in UK it is 750 and Canada it is 75. So per million population judge to ratio is around 19 in India, out of which 1/4 are always vacant. If these inadequacies are looked at the higher level of Supreme Court and High Court, then inadequacies in the lower court which are there and common man first comes to that contact are actually more than the higher level of judiciary. So these inadequacies need to be addressed or to be taken care, or primary concern is what is being said by article here. Here, one of the judgment is spoken about where All India Judges Association versus Union of India 2001. Please note this. Here it is being given that Supreme Court directed the government of India to increase the judge to population ratio to at least 50 per million population within 5 years from the date of judgment. But it is already 2020, but still it is not being implemented. So this judgment, please remember, and it can be made use wherever it is necessary. All India Judges Association versus Union of India 2001. Again, in another context, if it is speaking about access to justice, then it is not specifically felt in fundamental rights. But in Ankita Kushwaha versus Pushpa Sadan 2016, in the judgment, Supreme Court has unambiguously stated that life implies not only life in physical sense, but a bundle of rights that makes the life worth living. So if the life has to be made worth living, then access to justice has to be an integral part of it. In this judgment, it was shown that access to justice is as much important for a life to be worth lived. So in this article, there are 4 components with respect to access to justice which are being discussed: adjudicatory mechanism, convenient accessibility with respect to justice, speedy and affordable justice is also part of this thing. So these 4 components are to be taken in order to improvise the access to justice in Indian context. Here, the point of contention or point to be understood is The state in its all glorious manifestations, executive, judiciary and legislature is yet to draw a national policy or roadmap for clearing backlogs and making this concept idle. Next article, from a digital India to digital Bharat. If you all remember, previous week we have discussed with respect to Prime Minister's Wi-Fi access network interface, that is PM Vani. So there are two contexts here. Article is trying to see few of the policies can be game changer and few policies will actually look like game changer, but they will not make any difference. So in this article, this PM Vani is actually expected to be a game changer with respect to India's context, which was launched on or announced on December 9th. So this public Wi-Fi network interface is being discussed in detail over here, which will give us various dimensions and various regulators who will be working for the implementation of public Wi-Fi network interface. As we have once discussed with respect to structure of PM Vani, how will be working, there at the first level it will be PDOs, that is public data offices, who will in turn get the services of public Wi-Fi with respect to aggregators, that is PDOAs, and they will be actually the aggregators with respect to these things. These PDOs and PDOAs and app developers who are working with respect to the development or implementation of PM Vani will actually help to accelerate proliferation of broadband internet services through public Wi-Fi network in India. Let us look at the data about internet services in India with respect to bridging the increasing digital divide in India. If you look at Niti Aayog Chief Executive Officer has said that India can create 1 trillion of economic value using digital technology by 2025. And another report by Telecom Regulator Authority of India data shows 54% of India's population has access to internet. 75th round of NSSO survey shows that only 20% of population has the ability to use internet. There is another survey by India Internet Report 2019 which shows rural India has half the internet penetration as urban and twice as many users who has access to internet less than once in a week. For example, if you look at Umang app, unified mobile application for new age governance, there are around 2084 services across 194 government departments across themes such as education, health, finance, social security, etc. are provided through Umang services. It helps to enhance individuals' capability to benefit from services that are entitled over this app. But there is another point. As the move towards digitization is getting pacer or faster, there is a threatening to leave behind a large part of our population to suffer in digital poverty. So digital poverty is going to be a new word of talk in the near future. So however, the focus is in the present context is of last mile delivery. As the telecom minister has said that PM Vani is going to revolutionize as STD booths, that is public call office model of past decade. PM Vani, where anyone living in a house, pan shop owner or tea seller can be a provider with respect to public hotpot, will help to increase or create a alternative revenue generation model. India Internet Report, as we have seen, which was stating that rural India has half of the internet penetration as urban, is also telling 99% of users in India access the internet on mobile and 88% are connected on the internet on the 4G network. The unlimited or limited network which is actually getting overloaded and resulting in bad speed and quality of internet access will also be a solution from PM Vani. The regulators or the divisions where PM Vani will be implemented, PDOs, as I said, PDOs that can be anyone, that can be internet infrastructure. The government is also seeing to generate a revenue for individuals and small shopkeepers. PDOS, as I said, they will be aggregators who will buy bandwidth from internet service providers, and telecom companies, they will sell it to PDOs. And there will be at the third level app providers who will create an app that can users access and discover Wi-Fi over here. TRAIA has spoken about open Wi-Fi, and about open Wi-Fi there are two pillars that have been given as baseline. One is interoperability and another is multi-payment options. Interoperability is about a user who is required to log in once and stay connected across access points. Multi-payment option speaks about paying or making the Wi-Fi access as low denomination as 2 rupees, and OTP, apart from OTP, which is a cumbersome process, it is being spoken about know your customer or KYC is being encouraged here. And ultimately there will be a linking of Aadhaar which will be made mandatory is being expected. If you look at here, PM Vani has the potential to change the fortunes of BharatNet, which was a very thoughtful program of government. If you look at BharatNet was made to create a broadband connectivity in all villages in India. However, it could not reach its deadlines and could not reach the targets what were set. The infrastructure which has been created, usage data is not enough to incentivize ISPs to use BharatNet to provide services. So one of the reason for the lack of demand in the deficit in digital literacy in India is improper services. So simply lack of last mile connectivity availability of the internet can be a major initiative or major stride of this PM Vani. PM Vani, which seems to fit in with respect to the framework which is actually accessing the internet at tea and chai shop, is a welcome step. If you look at, there are few concerns with respect to PM Vani also, that is about privacy and security issues. As we all know, 15 airports across India, US, Germany, Australia and India discovered that 2/3 of users leak private information while accessing the internet. Here, TRAIA has recommended a community interest data to be stored locally. That has spoken about data protection, where country does not still have data protection law. Problems of regulation, state capacity and awareness, and which do not directly affect the framework, that's the scheme, but still these are point to be considered, is what is author speaking all about here. So digital India to digital Bharat can be a dream come true in a near future by PM Vani, is what is the point being said by author. Today's last article, mild moderations. Here we are speaking about retail inflation, which was measured by consumer price index, is estimated to be moderated in November to a provisional 6.93%. In previous month, it was 7.61%. So here, let us first understand why consumer price index. If you all remember, in 2013, the inflation was replaced from wholesale price index to CPI, that is consumer price index. In consumer price index, there will be a basket of goods with respect to food and beverages, miscellaneous, fuel and light, C&F, that is communication, and pan and tobacco are also included in this. In this basket of goods, the major share is held by food and beverages, that is 45.86%. Under food and beverages, again there will be cereals and products, egg and other important matters also. In India, CPI is calculated in 4 different areas, that is industrial worker, agricultural labor, rural labor and urban non-manual employee. If you look at, this is very important, the 3 indicators, industrial worker, agricultural labor, rural labor, are actually compiled by Labor Bureau, but urban non-manual employees are compiled by Ministry of Statistics and Implementation. So in this article, the major contention or major intention is to understand that CPI has, or retail inflation has moderated from the previous month, that is 7.6% to 6.93% due to the various dimensions. So here we need to have an understanding with respect to CPI, and change over from WPI to CPI is the point that is very important for our examination. So this is about today's The Hindu News Analysis, friends. I hope you had understood various dimensions which are very important with respect to examination point of view. If there are any feedbacks, please give in the comment section, which will definitely be implemented and tried to be improvised for your preparation. And please do subscribe our YouTube channel and help us to move and make a better preparation strategies. Thank you. Have a nice day.